What's up, guys? It's the newest edition of the DC Defender Show. We took a week off. We brought Jay back. We're still on the fence if that's good or bad, with the curse and everything. Because every time Jay comes on, we got a sad episode. What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
Alex?
He still sounds sad. Let's get to it. Hit the music.
Jay, I wasn't trying to call you out. I really wasn't. I was just, after this past week, you kind of had to, joke around a little bit. You had to laugh a little bit because there was nothing happy about this past weekend as a DC Defender fan and supporter and someone that covers the team. Where do you guys want to start? Alex, you're the veteran in age, coaching, football, knowledge. I'm going to let you take the floor first. Where do you want to start with this team after the defeat?
Well, if we had to pick a topic, I think the most pressing topic that I would say right now is the interior defense. So if you go back 2 weeks for the San Antonio game that we missed, San Antonio went over 200 yards in rushing. And then this week against Michigan got like 187 and pretty much controlled the line of scrimmage. So, if you guys are looking for a topic of conversation to kind of blend two games into one conversation here and what's wrong with us, why are we so soft in the middle and we can't stop the run?
I completely agree. Missed tackles galore. We've talked about this all year. In both games, missed tackles continue to haunt us. And I don't understand why, because you got guys that are kind of known for tackling. Like Northrup is known as a tackler. It just seems like something's off with the whole team. The whole secondary, I know they can hit hard, but it seems like they miss it when you need it the most. So, Jay, what do you think about the defense?
It's tough to watch sometimes. Other times, it's great. So I was kind of split on the defense in this game. They gave up 22 points, which isn't that many, to be honest, but it was also to a third string and fourth string quarterback. The first drive, they fumble and get the ball at the 5. I'm thinking, oh, here we go. I'm going to make some money on my bet. I did not. They went 95 yards just running the ball down our throat. And I was like, you had to go into this game with their quarterback situation thinking, hey, they're going to pound the rock. And it's like they were completely unprepared for it. Later in the game, they did, Greg, they weren't scoring points as much. They were settling for field goals, which kept us in the game. But, man, that really killed us early, especially with our offensive production. So,
yeah, we talk about the defense, but, tell you the truth, we could have won this game with the defense performance that we had. We really could have. Yeah. I feel like we could have. It's the offense was anemic. Quarterback situation. We argue all year, and maybe I'm finally off the Tiamo bus. Maybe it took an injury or two. Francois is done for the year. It seems like he's on injury reserve. McClendon comes in, does all right, in my opinion. And then we signed Mike DeLello, pronunciation still out there, from Austin P. Your thoughts on the quarterback situation? We'll start with the youngster, Jay.
All right. Right now, I got to say, I love Jordan Ta'amu. I love him completely, 100%. If he's watching the show, I love you, bro. But it's just not working. For whatever reason, this situation is not working for him. Either he doesn't have the weapons that he wants, he's not confident in his reads, or predictable, whatever it is. So I would want to see Jalen McClendon go in the game. I know Francois was probably the better option, but now he's injured. So I would go with McClendon. Big frame. He throws a nice ball. Good pocket presence. Poise. Is he a world beater? I don't know yet, but I think with a week of preparation and an actual radio in his helmet, he could probably do some damage.
Alex, your thought on the quarterback situation?
I think you guys know sort of where I stand on it. I think our quarterback play has been pretty much subpar all year. And again, not to put that totally on Jordan, because as Jay pointed out, different receiving core. We've got major problems on that offensive line and have had it all year. So it's very hard to quarterback behind that offensive line. Offensively, too, at times it feels like we're kind of a grab bag. Offensively, we really haven't established anything. We don't really know what we're looking to establish. We're not setting things up. So that's been disappointing as well. But I think two things. I think one, one of the first rules of coaching when you're getting your offense ready, you got to get two quarterbacks ready to play, period. So every week you're going to have X number of reps for your one, X number of reps for you two. And you have to go into the week almost thinking that, hey, we could lose our first string guy. Our second string guy needs to come in there and perform. And I think that's kind of what blew me away the most is, all year when Jordan has not performed, they haven't tried to mix it up. They haven't gone to another quarterback. And then I think when we saw the two guys come in this week, we see why. They don't have a number 2 quarterback that they've gotten ready to play. That's on the coaches. Because I'll tell you, Michigan went out and picked up Bryce Perkins and brought him in, and they had an awesome 1-2 punch last week. And they got him ready to play. Why in the hell can't we get Francois ready to play? And the only, in fairness to him before he got hurt, the only offense we had in that game, other than a slant off an RPO that was thrown behind the receiver, then he made an adjustment on the ball to catch, and then broke a tackle and ran 65 yards. That was our offense last week, period. Mm-hmm. Only other 2 glimpses of hope were when we went 2 backs and we were handing the ball off to Roland, 2 back shotgun, and we started running it out of that. But, the quarterbacks, McClendon's a big guy. He's got a big arm. I would play him over Francois. If Te'amo, hell, at this point, just let him have a start and see what he can do. Yeah. But, he looks lost to me. Some of his throws were way, way off. We just don't have a number 2 quarterback. We should have gone out and picked one up. I think we hung on and we were sleeping at the wheel too long, hoping Jordan would come around. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, our loyalty got in the way. It seems like with this roster, while the league merged, we talked about it the last time, it seemed like we stuck to our hand. Even the 2-time, Stallions made a bunch of changes to their roster. Mm-hmm. You talk about the offensive line, and there's a stat out there for PFF. It's percentages of throws under pressure. And these are guys that have faced more pressure on their throws than Jordan Te'amo. Jared Guantano, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously from Houston. Troy Williams, Adrian Martinez,
wow,
AJ McCarron,
oh my gosh,
Danny Atlin. So we can't complain about the offensive line. He's only facing pressure technically from PFF 16% of the time, while Martinez is facing the pressure 21% of the time of his dropbacks. So I know you're going to come over. I already kind of know where you're going to go. I see it on your face, Alex. I'm saying we can't. I'm finally off the Te'amo bandwagon. That it was more him than everyone else, and I think it really showed last week that, hey, guess what? We might have one of the worst quarterback rooms in the league. Which at the beginning of the season we were talking about, we might have one of the best quarterback rooms in the league, and they might have one of the worst quarterback situations because you look at. In San Antonio, it's a little different, but they had Garbers and Dormity's doing a serviceable right now. We talk about Michigan, right? They brought Bryce Perkins in 2 weeks ago, right? And then Birmingham, obviously in St. Louis, you can't really say anything outside of McCarron. But the worst teams have the most unstable quarterback position so far. And it's simple as that. So go ahead, Alex. Go ahead with the pressures.
No. I got the pressures, and that's a good stat, and I'm not going to argue that. And that's a nice find on your part because it sure doesn't feel that way. But I think the biggest issue I have with the offensive line is, that our offense is predicated on the run, and we cannot run the football. We've had one game where we've run the football effectively, and that was 2 weeks ago against San Antonio. And then we went back this week, and we looked like we'd never seen a football field before. And I think that's the biggest issue I've had with this offensive line. Is that we cannot run the football, and our offense is predicated on running the football. So I'm actually shocked by that stat, and I appreciate you bringing it up because it's a great stat. That we have protected the quarterback some, but I think that where we've broken down is that fundamentally we can't dominate that line of scrimmage and we can't establish the run, and our offense is totally set up off of that. And our inability to move the ball on the ground has just been constant week after week after week, with the exception of a glimpse of hope against San Antonio. And I still don't know how the hell that happened because we looked like a football team running the ball. Yeah.
It's confusing. It's like 1 week here we are. We're ready to play. We're going to beat San Antonio in a gritty defensive battle. And then next week, we're going to get completely routed on the ground with no physicality. Guys are slipping all over the field on offense and defense. They're not slipping. We are, though. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's really confusing. It really is.
The one that burned me up, that was just absolutely burned me up, was you remember that one Colburn had that long run in the first quarter where he leaves his feet. He jumps over a tackler. He's run for 4 yards. Yeah. He jumps over a tackler. And our linebacker comes across and tries to bump him down. And to me, that's an effort play. To me, you're not playing your technique. You're not running through the tackle. You're not wrapping up. Where's the effort? And he bounces off and runs another 45 or 50 yards. And that was indicative of how we played the majority of that game. But then to your point, Webb, the defense did just enough. And Jay, you said this too, to stop them when it counted, to keep us in the game. If we can generate anything that resembles an offense at all, that just it isn't so putrid. I mean, if you go back and look at the stats, we don't run the ball. We don't throw the ball. We don't do anything well offensively. And the defense hangs in there, and even they give up, the other against the San Antonio game. I mean, if you told me San Antonio would rush for 200 yards and we would win that game, I'd tell you you're a fool. But damn if we didn't. So then you start thinking, do we have a formula to win? Does the defense just kind of hang around, let the other team punch itself out, and we knock them out at the end? Damnedest thing I've ever seen. But we have no offense at all. No offense at all. None.
So we look forward towards the future. We got 3 games left, right?
Yeah.
Alex, you've been the guy that screamed 6-4 the entire year. Do we win out to get to 6-4?
I want to say yeah, but I'm going to tell you that what I saw of that football team this past week, the performance and the effort, we may not win another game. We could win them all. I think St. Louis is beatable. I've said that all along. I mean, they're the best of the XFL bunch, but if you look at their 2 losses, they've both lost to the top 2 teams in the USFL. They lost to Michigan, they lost to Birmingham. I think they can be had. I know that, they beat us by 100 points at home, but I just don't see this team. We're 7 weeks into it, and I don't see them getting any better. And if somebody said, what do you do great on defense? Well, I don't know. Do you pressure the quarterback? Do you force turnovers? What? Sorry, I think I may have froze up. What do you do on offense? Well, you just don't have anything you can point to. I just don't see it. I think we'll be lucky to win one more game. I'll be honest with you. And that's probably going to be Memphis, because they suck. They're terrible. Unless my boy Troy gets hot, we could be in trouble.
Jay, you think we go 3-0 the rest of the way?
I think Jay said it perfect. Or Alex said it perfectly. I think I said it perfectly. So I think we are the most hot and cold team in the league. That's pretty much why we're almost at 500. It's like some weeks we're bringing it. We got grit. We're scoring. Defense is doing just enough. Get a gritty win. Next week, we've never seen football before in our lives. So it's like right now we're back at never seeing football. So next week, do we get a gritty performance against the Battlehawks? I don't think it really matters. I think the Battlehawks are probably going to beat us anyway. So I would say we got to beat the Boats. If we don't beat the Boats, that's really sad. And then we can beat the Renegades, but the Renegades can score. So, yeah. And they love scoring on us specifically. I don't know. So we probably win 1, maybe 2.
I'm going to go on record saying if DC wins this week, they will end the season 3-0. I think they could beat Memphis, and I think Arlington. It will even be a prideful game for both teams. Obviously, they'll both be eliminated at that point if DC's not still alive for the playoffs. And I think the schedule kind of lines up for us because San Antonio's got St. Louis. They've got Arlington. We talked about Arlington. I think Arlington might beat them this week. Mm-hmm. So and all you got to do is beat St. Louis in St. Louis, which is a tough task. And hey, you dug yourself this hole, but you got to figure it out. To go back to the USFL, XFL kind of divide, I believe the USFL teams are better defensively than the XFL teams now that we're looking back on it. I think the better defenses are on that side, while the offense, I think the better offenses outside of Birmingham, obviously, are on the XFL side. You guys agree or no? I know you. I know you can't stand St. Louis, so it's going to be tough for you to say yes, Alex. But do you guys agree that I guess Birmingham's the outlier because Birmingham is really good on both sides of the ball. But I'm comparing, looking back on it, that was the whole argument going into the season, which side's better. I think without question, the USFL is better defensively. And I think that league was better. Like all 4 of those teams are decent defensively. While, DC was considered one of the better defensive teams coming into the season, and they really haven't not. I'm guessing they still are the highest, giving up the most passing yards, right? I'm guessing they were 2 weeks ago
They're
before
up there,
San Antonio.
sure.
But
Might be rushing now. I don't know.
yeah, exactly. And of course, Arlington gives up a ton too. Like our highest point was against Arlington, correct? 29.
Yeah.
An offense that we're just spent the last 20 minutes talking about how putrid they are, scored 29 points against that defense. I just feel like the defensive side, which I guess could, I don't know. Do you think we still have a chance, Jay? We can go round and round on this for the next 35 minutes. Do you think there's still a chance?
So last week, if we won this game that we just played, I'm excited. I'm super hype. I might even go back to DC. No, I'm just kidding. I won't. But I think we could seriously make the playoffs because the Brahmas do not look good. And the Roughnecks obviously can't help us out because all they do is shoot themselves in the foot and lose. So, that would have really helped us out as well. But unfortunately, because we lost the game, plus our quarterback got a concussion, it's just kind of a mess. So we have a chance, which is all you really want, but you have to capitalize on it. Because if you don't, what's the point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a chance. I mean, we have a path. I guess just for me, and I'm Homer City, USA. I mean, I kept waiting for this team to turn the corner. But then you kind of sit back after last week and you say, we're 7 weeks into this. And I just watched that. Is this actually, maybe this is as good as they are? Like we talk about Greg and dialing it in on defense, is that the case? Or is it just we're soft? That we're soft in the middle. Maybe we're not talented in the middle. Maybe we're not physical enough or fast enough. Maybe those guys just aren't good enough. Because when, boy wonder, AJ Smith from the Brahmas helped us a lot in that game. He's an idiot to do anything but pound the rock. I mean, he was getting 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, and then throwing it. I'm like, thanks for stopping the drive. We couldn't have stopped them. And it's the same thing with Michigan. And I think, St. Louis, again, I think they can be had, but they're going to come out this week and they've seen 2 weeks of us go up over 200 yards rushing and close to 200 yards rushing. And you think that Coach Beck, being an ex-tight end, he's not going to come out and try to pound that rock? So we better magically find a way to tackle and get physical inside in 5 or 6 days, or they could rush for 4,000 yards. We have got to stop the run.
I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think that Reggie Barlow is being less aggressive on offense this year because he knows his defense cannot be trusted?
I'm going to say no. I think what I've seen from Coach Barlow this year is I do think we really seriously botched that 2-minute or botched the timeouts at the last game. That was kind of inexcusable. That almost felt to me like, are we giving up? We had, so anyway, to recap, and then I'll get back to answering your question. We let it run down to the 2-minute warning. We have a timeout left. They run a play after the 2-minute warning. We don't take a timeout. We let it run all the way down. We let all that time run off down 2 scores. So you need to take a timeout right after 2-minute warning because you got to get 2 possessions and score twice, right? Mm-hmm. But even at that, they could have taken a timeout before the 2-minute warning and then got the stop and then stopped it at 2 minutes. You don't let it run down to the 2-minute warning and then save your last time out and let another 40 seconds run off the clock. That to me was kind of like brain dead. And then you wonder where the other assistant coaches, did they just decide we're not going to play anymore? Or were the other coaches saying, Coach, timeout, get a timeout. We got to stop the clock. So for some reason, I don't think Coach Barlow, he doesn't feel as intense as last year. Maybe that's not fair because we're 3-4, so we're looking for things. But I think if anything, I would say that the issue would be both Barlow and the GM, and Webb, you touched on it, not making any moves. They're too good to take any of these UFL guys, yet we can't stop anybody, running the football. I wonder about that. I wonder about the guys in charge. They got to know I'm not smart, and I can tell you we didn't have a quarterback behind Teamu, and I didn't even think Teamu was sitting on much. the way he played this year, and nobody goes out and makes a move. Nobody even considers it. We wait for the quarterback to break his damn neck before we go out and get somebody in at the end of week 7. I just don't get where these guys, where their heads have been. I mean, it's the same mess we've seen since week 1.
Yeah, the culture in the team, the locker room just seems a little off. And it started with week 1. You want to talk about like when DeLange was spitting on the guy, right? No one went over there and corrected him, got in his butt. No one, he just sat there and he was able to do whatever the heck he wanted. And it just felt like a little off. Like, why are they letting this happen? And right. If you're supposed to be a winning culture, like you hold people accountable. And it didn't seem like they cut them and all that kind of stuff after it. But like on the sideline, no one was like, hey man, chill. We don't need any more. Like we're down a little bit. And it just seems like all year it's been, I guess we're a little toothless when it comes to it. And I think this Barlow has not been aggressive on offense because he doesn't trust the offense. He doesn't trust that they can get a 4th and 1. Or how many times did we have to hear from the announcer that they were the worst 4th down team? Like we know this already, man. First of all, let's talk about the announcing, right? So I watched the highlights to try to get back into it for this game. Before we filmed, how many times do we have to mention that Matt Colburn is a Demon Deacon? Like how many times, like every single, the former Demon Deacon in every college. And I'm like, I don't know who the announcer was. I forget who it was, but like my whole thing is like, do we have to announce their college every time they touch the ball or anytime they make a tackle? The former Bulldog, the former this, and I'm like, all right. Anyways, that's my rant for the ESPN announcer. I'm sorry. I love the Fox stuff. I'm kind of upset that no, actually the XFL championship will be on Fox. So they'll get Joel Klatt and Kurt Menefee, which will be great. While ABC, who knows who's announcing that, gets Birmingham and Michigan. So, Jay, I don't know if you're going to be on much going forward. I'm not 100% sure, obviously, the schedule. Right now, is there anyone that could beat Birmingham? I know it's a DC show, but I'd rather get your opinion for everything before it's too late. It's week 7, right?
Okay.
Well, we're going into week 8. Does Michigan have a chance against Birmingham? And I'll go to you, Alex, right after this. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Do they have a chance? No, I'm sorry. Dude, they lost their quarterbacks. I mean, if they had EJ Perry in there or Etling, I'll say yeah. Their defense is still going to hold pretty strong, but I think they looked good against us, right? They're not going to look good against the Stallions defense. They're going to key right in on that run. They're going to force them to pass, and it's going to be bad for them. I think the Stallions are going to go undefeated. I'm going to be honest with you.
Regular season or the whole kit and caboodle?
I'm going to say regular season to cover myself in case the Battlehawks win the championship.
Alex, UFL guy. You've seen this Panthers team, which has been an amazing transformation, especially on offense. They couldn't block anyone last year. If you remember the Maulers game, they gave up like 6 sacks. And they brought some of the guys back, and then they brought in the offensive coordinator for the Stars, who probably had another terrible offensive line. And somehow they have changed this team, and Bellenou, for however you pronounce his name, Marcel, the offensive coordinator, has changed from he had Case Cookers last year, he was passing a lot, to now they're kind of the power team, the power running team. Do you think that's a recipe for success against Birmingham, to be a power running team, or do you got to be balanced?
Anyway, you got to be balanced, but I think having Bryce Perkins gives them an extra dimension. And I think you're going to see more and more of him. And, we just saw a glimpse of what he can do against DC. And now you have 2 quarterbacks to prepare for. I think Michigan's extremely physical on defense. I like their run game. Wes Hill's a big, hard running guy. Colburn from Wake Forest.
The former Demon Deacon.
Shows a lot of upside too. So they've probably been the team that surprises me the most. And I look for something crazy to happen, like maybe for Birmingham to run the table and then to Michigan to pop them in the playoffs or something like that. Birmingham can slip up. If you look at it, St. Louis could have gotten them this week. They've had a couple other close games. We could have beaten them down there. We were every chance of beating Birmingham too. Michigan continues to get a little bit better, and they're adding pieces as they go. watch out for them. And I think that if it comes down to Birmingham, Michigan, Brahmas, and St. Louis, I might be saying let's hunt, baby. I'm liking that team.
Wow. Giddy up. They're gonna roll through this entire league. They're in a team that's gonna be down, and I've hated them for 2 years, and I can't stand their fan base, and Buck and Scout drive me crazy, and everything, right? Anything Birmingham related, they don't really have good barbecue either. I'm just feel that no one's gonna beat him. I think Potter makes the perfect moves almost every single time. He never whiffs, right? He absolutely never whiffs. It doesn't matter who he brings in. He brings in Adrian Martinez-Mackerel to replace Alex Magoo, and Adrian Martinez brings a completely different weapon. I mean, it's amazing. All the wide receivers, the running backs, like Ricky Pearson, right? Like they offensive line, he always figures out the offensive line. Zach Potter should be in the NFL. He should be the first. He should be the first call up out of this league to the NFL is Zach Potter, because obviously 3 years and you've lost 3 games. Like that's amazing for everyone having the same. Like there's no salary cap restrictions. It's not like he's in salary cap hell. It's not like he inherited a bad roster. He created everything at the same level as everyone else, and it's amazing. And Skip Holtz trusted at 20. I think he was 22 at the time, 21 at the time, to kind of run it, and it's amazing to see. And he should be in the NFL and get respect.
He's younger than me.
He's young enough to be Alex's grandson.
Hey, watch it. I got ties older than that guy.
But I just feel that they are the team to beat. Obviously, everyone knows that, and I think Michigan might be the team that could get the closest. I think they'll get up for the Birmingham game. I mean, the St. Louis game. If they meet them in the championship, they'll get up to prove everyone wrong that they had to go to St. Louis to win a championship, because Birmingham fans are already complaining that they waited until week 3 to get a home opener, and that yada yada. Like they use everything. Skip Holtz uses everything as a slight. So I think Birmingham runs away with this, especially I just don't see St. Louis or San Antonio matching up with them. I don't think either team is physical enough. I think, and St. Louis getting Millette back though. That's kind of a offensive line starting to get guys back. He was activated this past week from the injured reserve. Not 100%. If Garbers is really done for the season, like if they start adding these pieces and just get in, right? Because DC helped them out by losing to games. All they got to do is get in, right? If they figure something out week 10, and all they got to do is get in, like San Antonio could be a dangerous team, because everyone was talking about how good they were in week 1 and week 2. Yes, they hit a lull, but they also lost their quarterback, right? They lost Millette, and they lost Destroying, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Wade Phillips loves to lose in the playoffs.
Losing the quarterback was the biggest one.
Yeah, and your center, right? He was kind of the leader on the team. He caught that big touchdown. But guys, this week, who's the one player that when he walks on the field for the Battlehawks, you're like, oh man, we're playing him again? Jay, we'll go with you first.
Hakeem Butler. We're going to Hakeem Butler. Don't put him on an island, please, Greg. Don't do it. Just bracket him all game. Take him out of the game, and we got ourselves a shot on defense. All right, we got to contain the big plays with AJ McCarron. Honestly, I don't know what Greg's going to do because our backs are kind of against the wall. So is he just going to go balls to the walls and start blitzing crazy again, or is he going to play it safe? I don't really know, but I definitely want to cover 88 at all costs, because AJ is going to just launch it at him multiple times.
Alex, who do we have to watch out for?
I was going to say Butler, but I'd say defensively, Peta. He's really come on a defensive end. He's really putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. He keeps getting a little bit better and better each week. He's a lot to handle, especially with their offensive line kind of being in a state of flux. He could be very disruptive. But, Jay, I'd have to agree with you. I think Butler is a tough matchup. You got to figure out you really can't play him one-on-one. You're going to have to bracket him. You're going to have to game plan and bracket to try to stop him. And then that just opens up other things. But the only other thing I will say I'm not looking forward to this week with watching St. Louis, and I will watch, is AJ McCarron with that stupid stocking cap on his head. I mean, it's 100 degrees in Birmingham, and you got the thing on your head. I mean, you're not like an 8-year-old kid catching the bus, and it doesn't even look cool. It looks like you're trying way too hard. So unless your mom stitched it for you or your wife stitched it for you and has some sentimental value, I could get it. But you look like a complete moron. Even my daughter, who's 9 years old, says, "What in the hell's he got on his head?" She didn't say hell. But what's on his head? And I don't know, honey. He's trying too hard. Sometimes guys, when they're insecure, they try too hard. Take the damn thing off your hat. Put a baseball cap on, or leave your helmet on.
He's used to that weather. It was cold for him down there. He's used to that weather.
Yeah, the Birmingham weather was too cold for him. Jeez.
You guys got to watch out for Jacob Sailors. We had the last 2 weeks that we can't stop a running back. This guy's 4th in the league in rushing. The 3 guys in front of him are Adrian Martinez, who's a quarterback scrambling like all crazy, and then the other 2 guys we just gave up a ton of yards, and that's how they passed out Jacob Sailors, because we just gave up a ton of yards. So it's Sailors' turn to tee off against his defense, or at least try to. He's definitely one of the names to watch out for, and Hakeem Butler is the guy. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I watch him, I just feel like that's NFL. Like, he just looks NFL. He control. Like, I don't understand why he, like, a lot of, like, Chris Rollin, is smaller. Kelvin Harmon is skinnier. Like, Butler looks like a grown man, like, compared to a lot of these DBs in this league, and I just don't understand why he's not in the NFL.
Yeah.
Does anyone know? Because I really don't know his story until he came to this league.
Now, Birmingham has a tight end like that out of Mississippi State. I don't know, forget his name, but he's an NFL-looking tight end too. Like, I mean, or a receiver. I mean, you look at him and say, my God, they look good. But Butler's the same way.
Yeah.
He looks the part for sure. Hey, question. What is it? Sailors? How do you say that guy's last name?
Sailors.
Running back? Sailors. Quickly, right off the top of your head, where did you go to college?
I don't know. I don't work for ESPN.
East Tennessee State.
What?
East Tennessee State. He's a Buck.
Is he really? Oh.
Southern Conference. Yes, there's a FCS guy. He runs hard. Boy, he's got a low center of gravity. Good forward lean when he runs. He finishes his runs. That guy's a load to tackle. So we better be ready to tackle that guy, because I'm going to tell you what, he's going to bring it. He's coming with bad news. That dude can run the football.
Wes Hills is from Slippery Rock. I don't know if you heard that this past weekend. Every time he touched the ball. All-American. Oh, yeah, PSAC. Yeah, you know all about that in Pennsylvania.
That's it. It's good football.
All right, Jay. Question of the week. You ready?
Let's do it.
What is the one GM move that you would make right now, or owner? Let's go from the owner. Would you remove the GM? Would you move Von Hutchins? Would you remove the coach? You're the owner of the DC United. Or DC Defenders. I'm looking at your thing, thinking about the soccer field and all that with the red. You're the owner. What's the first move you're taking day one?
Oh, God. That's a really tough one, because I could go in multiple different directions with that.
You only get one first day moves. You know how, like, the president runs, when I first get into the White House, is the first thing I'm doing. Executive order. This is Jay's executive order.
My executive order is to start McClendon, I guess. I don't think I'm firing anybody. I'm not a madman or anything. Probably after the season, I'm not firing anyone mid-season. We'll really lose. But I'm going to say start McClendon, and I'd ride him all the way to the end of the season and just not even think about it.
Alex?
Wow. That's tough, because there isn't really one problem with this team. Like, there's not one move that I think you could make that says, wow, that's going to make all the difference. Oh, God. If I was general manager,
Owner, executive.
I don't know. Oh, owner. Oh, if I was the owner, I'd call the shots. I might do something cool, like just, for the last game of the year against Arlington, everybody gets in free. Beer is half price, whatever. And just try to pack the damn place and go out with a
my
bag.
idea. I was going to take that. Like, I'm not even joking. I was going to take that. I was like, Everyone, it's free. I didn't do the half beer thing, but it's free. But since I got to do a football move, my first would be that I would change the offensive game caller right now for the rest of the season. Someone else calls a different game. Not to get rid of Fred Keiss, because I think he calls a lot of good plays. I just think get a different vibe. You got 3 weeks. It just change it up. It's not to get rid of the mind in the game. It's to just a different perspective. Maybe the quarterback's coach can call the plays for one game, and just to see if the feel is a little different. But that's, or maybe Barlow does. He's an offensive guy. Maybe you just get a different vibe. Like, you got a brand new offensive line coach. Just a different vibe over the last 3 games, because we just spent the last 30 minutes talking about how putrid the offense is, and everything points back. We find problems in the defense because the offense is not producing at all, and the defense has to be perfect. So that would have been my first. And I love Fred Keiss. I think he's a great guy. He's a great story. I root for him. I just feel like this team just needs a different vibe for the last 3. Instead of firing people, instead of being George Steinbrenner in this situation, just fire people. I give the people in the room a chance, but maybe just switch it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. To change.
First time Alex ever agreed with me.
I agree with you often. You're pretty sharp. I'll say that. I like that too. I mean, I think you have to change. And I think we had talked about it around week 4, might have been after even the Battlehawks loss. I'd said, I'm going to be really curious to see what moves are made, or are they making any moves? And we didn't. We kind of have stood pat all year. And I think, so we're committed to the people in the room, but how do you shuffle the people around the room to get a different result? Because I feel like we're doing the same thing week after week after week. And, I love Coach Keiss too. I think he's a great story. But I wonder sometimes too if, maybe in year 2, did some of these, we're talking about NFL coaches on some of these other teams coordinating defenses, right? We're talking about good football coaches. Did they catch up to the RPO? Did they catch up to what maybe we hit them with this more college type offense in year 1? In year 2, they got a beat on us, because about the only offense I see us running are zone run plays that we don't even block correctly, and then an RPO off of zone read. That's what we run. We literally have one. It feels like we run 2 pass plays, a bomb and a slant pattern off of RPO.
You're 100% right. I know the play before the play. I should not know that. It's crazy. I've been saying this on my show for like 3 or 4 weeks. We run that same RPO like 30 times a game, it feels like. And we hit one for a touchdown this time, but every other time it's batted down, and they know it's coming. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They caught up to us. They did. And
Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It was a glitch over here. No, it was my computer. I think my computer froze. I'm giving you the floor. No, the only thing I was going to say to it. Go ahead. If you're going to give me the floor, the only other thing I want to say is it is kind of frustrating. It is kind of frustrating to watch the offensive line, because, it saw us glimpses in the San Antonio game, and it's okay. This new offensive line coach is damn good, but we're zone blocking one the other day, and they double team the tackle, and they get good push at the point, and the linebacker comes late, and either somebody from this side has to step and pick him up, or the guy on the double has to turn and pick him up. And but 2 guys stay on the tackle, blowing him out. Nobody blocks the linebacker. He comes flying in for a 4-yard loss. And it's like, come on. We're professional football players, guys. Come on. How does that happen? You got to be looking for, you got the double right here, and then you turn when he comes and you pick him up. Or this guy backside needs to step and cut it off. And if he does, you have a seam and you can run the football. And it's just like too many times I see that break. It's been all year with this offensive line. I just don't think these guys have it. I just don't think they have it. We're 2/3 of the way through 3/4 of the way through the season, and they're clueless.
7/10, some would say.
You're smart. 70%.
Prediction time. I think Jay went first last time. We're going with Alex first. Alex, your prediction was 29-18 St. Louis.
I hope we get 18.
Say that again?
Would be an offensive explosion. I hope we get to 18. That'd be an offensive explosion for us.
Wow.
I don't know Tiamu's situation. If he doesn't play, we'll be lucky to get 18. I don't think St. Louis is world beaters, and I think somebody will end up popping them. They can be had. Offensively, they're pretty good. I'll be curious to see what kind of effort the team. I'm let down. I'm glad, hopefully they're not let down. It doesn't matter if I'm let down or not. I don't play. But if it could get ugly, if they go out there and roll over like they rolled over a couple weeks ago for St. Louis, it could get really ugly. I'd like to see them fight, bite, scratch, and compete. But even at that, I think St. Louis is probably a little more talented than we are this year, and they'll win at home.
Jay, you said 32-12. You said the blowout out of everyone. 20-point loss. Explain yourself.
This seems to be a trend with this team that when it goes bad, it goes very bad. And it seems like they don't have much of a fight. I mean, look, I was there last time. That's emotional damage, okay? They just kept going and going, and DC gave up. We gave up against our biggest XFL rival at home with 16K in the building, and they knew I was there, and they did it, That's what they did to me. So, look, I want to win this game 100%. We've won it in the Dome before. It's not impossible. Oh, yeah. They can be had. Alex is right. They can definitely be had, but by us, I don't know. I don't think we have the firepower to really compete with them. They obviously have all the weapons. AJ, the only way that we win this game, in my opinion, AJ is still hurt, or I don't know, he can't go for whatever reason. We got a shot in that case. But even then, Brandon Silvers is pretty solid as a backup. So I don't know. I'm the Debbie Downer today. I'm sorry, guys.
That's fine. I'm taking DC 22-20. We're keeping the season alive, boys. We're keeping the season alive. I'm going to come on this show next week and say we're world beaters. Watch out, Birmingham. And that we are going to win this whole thing. I just think this is the time when you push in the corner. Nobody pushes baby in the corner. And I think this is coming out swinging. And I think it's going to be a defensive touchdown that makes a difference. I agree with you guys that we're going to struggle to score points, but I think we can get to 15, right? And so we can get to 22 if we get a touchdown. Yeah. And I think it's time for a Mike Joe pick six, right? Or a Baker, or a Santos Ramirez, or a fumble return. And I think it has to happen in the Battle Dome. And I think this is the start of maybe possibly making a playoff run. The schedule kind of works out in our favor because we all got Memphis circled on our calendar. We all got Memphis circled on our calendar. And we're hoping that Arlington quits after they got their one win, and hopefully they get a win this week. After this week, they get 2 wins, and they're not the worst team. They're not tied for the worst record, and they kind of quit the rest of the season. I'm hoping that's what Bob Stoops does because it seems like he's got 1 foot out the door. And because why aren't you playing Lindsey Scott? That's a whole nother show. Like, I just don't understand why you're not playing Lindsey Scott at this point. Like, Luis Perez is 30 years old. I'm sorry, Luis. You're probably not going to make it to the NFL. Why aren't you giving the kid a shot? Obviously, he's doing something right because you keep playing him. But anyways, I just feel like they could pull this out. I think St. Louis, like you said, McCarron might be a little banged up, but I think St. Louis, this is the time to get St. Louis because they're kind of pissed off. It seemed like they were really I don't know if you saw the Beck and Holtz handshake.
That was weird.
And Holtz was, it was like Beck was very weird. And I just think
he's mad,
man. Yeah, but it just I think it's going to get in their head. I think they're mental midgets when it comes to some things in St. Louis, and I think they're they're insecure sometimes, and it came across that way. And I think this is the time to get St. Louis, and I hope there's 40,000 people in there. and I hope that DC shocks the world. And all of a sudden, we don't have, the poster out there. I don't know if you guys saw the poster on social media already. Birmingham and Michigan, they're already advertising the USFL championship because it's been decided since week 5 because Houston and Memphis are absolutely garbage. It just like they had the graphic ready. They don't have the graphic ready in the XFL. They might have some proofs for a couple combinations, but I think this could happen. Unfortunately, Arlington plays, and we talked about this before show. Arlington plays after, so we don't know what Arlington really is going to do. But we need them to lose to Arlington because that's the division rivalry and that's the first playoff tiebreaker. So we need them to lose, especially to Arlington. So maybe we see Mike Diallo, right? Because Francois, and if Tiamo's banged up, we might see our new quarterback, and all of a sudden, the hot hand. Like, honestly, the hot hand in the new system, you call basic plays, they don't know what is going to come, and maybe you shock them, and all of a sudden AJ McCarron's crying like he normally does in press conferences, and we have a great week all the way through. So that's just kind of where I'm at with this team. And next week I can come here and be like, it's rebuild time, and I fully expect that to happen. Really, that we're going to talk about like where do we have to go with the roster. But I'm gonna keep believing. I'm gonna journey it. You know what I mean?
I hope you're right because it'll make it a lot more fun. And I'm gonna go down to the Arlington game, last game of the year, and I'd like for it to mean something. And all of the points that you hit on, I'm not going to disagree. I think St. Louis can be beaten. I think that they can be middle midgets. I think that Arlington had them beat in the dome, no question about it. Arlington could have walked out of there with a win. Anything can happen. Anything. And
I think Greg will come up with a good game plan, and I just hope that they can pull out something on offense, and then Greg gets a turnover late. We haven't seen that yet, right? We haven't really seen the defense just have like that play where it's like, oh, they saved the day. They played great. That St. Louis game the first time Jay was there, like that game should have been 48-0 in the first half. But the defense stood up and held them to field goals and that kind of stuff. So I think this defense can contain them. Did they quit at the end? Yeah, they quit in the end. And that's part of the ugly spots of this team. It seems like they quit sometimes when they're down instead of fighting through it. But us against the world might work for them. No one expected them to go into Birmingham. No one expected them to go into Birmingham and even play a good game, right? Because they looked like crap for the first 3 weeks. No one expected them to San Antonio. They thought that was over with. You know what I mean? San Antonio's going to beat them, and the XFL is set. No one's believing in DC. You can go through everyone's picks throughout the entire world right now, and no one's picking DC. And this might be a time to galvanize the troops, and Reggie Barlow comes that leader, and they figure it out and shock the world and have AJ crying. And the world will be a happy place for one more week. So
the Renegades did it, huh?
The Renegades.
Yeah. Somehow.
We got to keep believing in the Renegades. We are the biggest Renegades fans until week 10. I just want to let you know. And Birmingham fans. We're a Birmingham fan. Birmingham is going to beat San Antonio. Let's be real. Like I'm mark it down. If they still have the undefeated season, without a doubt, they're gonna put 50 on them. Wade Phillips, he's gonna have his pants up around his chin, never his nipples, way up on his chin. And AJ Smith with his multi-bands and all this kind of stuff. No. Anyways.
San Antonio is a lot different without Garbers. You saw losing him, like nothing against Dormany, but they are a different team. Yeah. They helped us a little bit with the Boy Wonder Genius's play calling a little bit, getting away from the run. He stopped some drives on his own. Thank you very much. But they are a different team, and they've got their hands full. They're back into their schedule stacks up worse than ours. That's why this week was so critical for us. But this past week's over. You close the book, and Webb, I like the way you think. The worst teams to play are these teams that got nothing to lose. You never know what they're, but we got to play like that. We got to play on the edge. You got to play like there's nothing to lose. Maybe we go for a couple of these 4th and 1s, which in fairness, Coach Barlow, with that offensive line, I don't think I'd go for 4th and an inch. Because like literally we get no push, but maybe this is the game where you take, some common sense and throw it out of the window, and you fake a punt deep in your own territory. You pull out some stops, and I mean, what the hell do you have to lose?
Yeah. Jay, any closing words? You got to come back on before the season's over. One last hurrah.
Whenever you guys want me, I'll come on. But
right.
I'll add to Alex's point real quick. I think one of our problems, our main problems in DC, is that our players are extremely confident that we are the team that we were last year and that we're one of the better teams in their mind, even though our record is 3-4. I mean, they call themselves the Lakers and all this stuff, and they've said that multiple times in, Player 54 and recently this year. There you go. And I think that's one of our main problems. We need to mentally completely reset and just lock in. We are nothing until we prove it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, nothing against the Grand Valley State Lakers, but are they talking about the Division III football Lakers, Grand Valley State Lakers? Because that's what we've played like for a large part of the year. I'm a D3 guy myself, so no disrespect to the D3 programs out there. But I mean, when you're sitting at 3-4 and somebody is, in the last 2 weeks, you've given up 400 yards on the ground, you're not anything. You're getting smoked. You're getting your butt handed to you. So, like Webb said, our season's over this week if we don't win. If that doesn't get your butt ready to play and get you excited to play, nothing will. So we have to give that maximum effort, and we have to hit and be physical, play to the echo of the whistle, wrap up, don't bump people down, and just find a way to win on the last play of the game. Just fight, scratch, and claw to the last play of the game.
One last question. If we win this game, who's the player of the game? Who's the guy that we got to have a big game? I'll go first. Davin Bellamy, because he would be the leader in the locker room. He is still the leader in the locker room, especially if Tiamo is banged up. Bellamy's got to put more pressure on. He seems to have a little bit more life than he did in week 3 and week 2, and he's a little bit better on the pass rush, getting closer to the quarterback. I think you got to have Bellamy to match with Malik Fisher and all the rest of the defensive line. Mintz had a few good plays this past weekend. They got to get a pass rush, and I think it comes down to a guy like Davin Bellamy. He's been in big games. It's time for him to be in his biggest game of the season. So Davin Bellamy is my pick. Jay, we'll go with you. Who's the one player?
I would just pick quarterback, but we have no idea who it's going to be yet. So I'm going to go Ty Scott. I think Ty Scott is going to have to definitely step up into wide receiver 1 with Harmon getting injured out for the year. Huge blow, and I'm a little depressed. I'm not going to lie. So Ty Scott, hey, he made that touchdown last week. He's got the ability. He's been making big plays for us all year. We just don't throw him the ball. So let's throw him the ball. Let's just throw him 1,000 balls this week.
Alex?
Darius Higgins. Need Darius. We got to get the run game going. He had some really good runs against San Antonio. Showed flashes. Powerful back. If he has a big game, then we're doing what we need to do up front, and that's going to set up everything else. So Darius Higgins, if he's our player of the game, we got a shot.
Fair enough. All right, guys, your sign off. Jay, we'll go with you first. You're the guest still.
For the love of football, defend football, baby.
Alex, the old vet. Go for it.
Let's go 1-0 this week. We need it. And until our next visit, so long, everybody.
Side note. The whole episode, Alex has had connection issues. He's been freezing up. I thought he froze up. For a minute there, I thought he was froze up. But well done. Well played. Shields up. Jay, Alex, Webb out.